Hello students, my name is Radhakrishna. I am working as senior lecturer in chemistry at Government Polytechnic College, Gadwal. In the last class, we have discussed about acids and bases. In that chapter, we have discussed the properties of acids, the properties of bases, and the properties of acids, the properties of bases, and we have seen three theories of acids and bases, namely Arrhenius theories of acids and bases and its limitations, Bronsted-Lowry theory of acids and bases and its limitations, the concept of conjugate acid base also we have seen, and then we went for the Lewis acid base theory. We have seen the limitations of Lewis acid base theory also. Then we went for the ionic product of water. What is ionic product of water we have seen, and thereafter we have seen buffer solutions. What is a buffer solution, by the way? In the last class we have discussed. A buffer solution is a solution whose pH will not change on addition of either small quantities of either acid or base, small quantities of strong acid and strong base. Okay. Why does it happen? Because the buffer solution is said to possess reserve acidity and reserve basicity. We classified buffer solutions into two types: acidic buffer, whose pH lies in the acidic region, and basic buffer, whose pH lies in the basic region. And we also checked why the pH of buffer solution doesn't change on addition of either acid or base. In effect, that is called as buffer action. We have seen what is the reason for the buffer action. Okay. Today let us see applications of buffer solutions, and then we'll start a new chapter, the water technology. First let us see the applications of buffer solutions. Okay. Buffer solutions are used in agriculture in variety of fields. Buffer solutions are used in variety of fields. To name a few fields, they are used in the agriculture. Buffer solutions are used in the preservation of food and preservation of dairy products. Food products as well as dairy products are highly perishable in nature. So to preserve them and to extend their shelf life, buffer solutions are made use of. And in the industrial process, in many industrial processes also, buffer solutions are used. For example, they are used in the manufacture of paper, in the manufacture of dyes, in the manufacture of alcohol and drugs also. In the manufacture of drugs and alcohol. Some drugs like antibiotics like penicillin are produced by fermentation. Alcohol is also produced by fermentation. They are also used, buffer solutions are also used in the chemical analysis for the determination of total hardness. They are also used in the qualitative analysis for the precipitation of third and fourth group ions. In the qualitative analysis, we try to precipitate and identify the ions from different groups, and in the here buffer solutions are used, come handy in the precipitation of third and fourth groups ions of third and fourth groups. Even I told you previously also, many chemical reactions, biochemical reactions in our bodies, in the living organisms occur in the blood. Okay. For these reactions are catalyzed by enzymes. Without enzymes, these reactions will not happen, and these enzymes work best at pH 7. That is also our blood is also a buffer which maintains pH at 7.4. Okay. These are some of the applications of buffer solutions. We have discussed the applications of buffer solutions. Let us take one or two questions. Buffer solutions used in which fields are they used? Are they used in agriculture? Are they used in industry? Are buffer solutions used in chemical analysis? Yes, they are used in agriculture. They are also used in industry, they are used in chemical analysis. So in all of the above fields, buffer solutions are used. Okay. Yeah, now we'll move on to the chapter water technology. Now we are starting water technology. Let us see some introduction regarding water and types of water sources, okay, natural sources, and all the different sources of water. Okay, so can anybody tell what is the basic chemical substance needed to establish an industry? Can you tell me the chemical substance which covers 3/4 of the Earth's surface? Can you state the most commonly used chemical in the houses? It's not actually chemical, commonly used, but since it's a chemistry class, all substances can be classified, taken as chemical substances, chemicals. Okay. This is essential chemicals for organism to survive. The answer to all these questions, to establish an industry, the substance that covers 3/4 of the land surface, earth surface, the most common chemical used in the house, the essential chemical for organism to survive. The answer to all these questions is one, that is water. Water is used for all these. This chemical substance is water, and this is a diagram of a waterfall. You can see in the picture. Okay, its chemical formula of water is H2O. 97% of the water available on the earth is locked up in the oceans and seas in the form of salt water. Okay, of the 100% water available, 97% is locked up in the oceans and seas, and thereby it is unfit for use. Only 3% of the all the available water on the earth's surface is fresh water, which can be used to sustain life forms on the earth. 97% of it is salt water, which cannot be used directly. With desalination maybe we can use, but not otherwise. Okay. Domestically, water is used for cooking, washing, and other activities. Domestically, water is used for cooking, washing, and other activities. Water is required for agriculture. Without water, no plants will grow. Okay. Water is also used in industries. Without water, industries one of the primary criterion industrials see to set up industries is the availability of water. Without water availability, industries cannot survive. What is it used for in industries? In industries, it is used for as solvent, for the production of steam, for heating purposes, and also as a reaction medium. In industries, water is used for production of steam, for heating various processes. Okay, and as a solvent, it is also used as solvent. It is also used as a reaction medium also. Okay, used as a reaction medium also. Next, so it is very important for an engineer to know about the characteristics of water, types of water, uses of water, etc. In this unit, the water technology, you have first let us try to learn about the sources of water and probable impurities present in the water, and different types of water also. Let us try to see and learn in this chapter. Okay, first let us see the sources of water. This is all introduction to the water technology. Okay, source of water. One is rainwater, surface water. The water which occur on the earth's surface is called as surface water. In the diagram you can see a river flowing, okay, in all its natural splendor. You can see it. Okay, the surface water, you can have different types of surface water. Rainwater. Rainwater is the purest form of water, because how is rain formed? The water from various water sources will evaporate and turn into vapor. This vapor, in this vapor, water molecules are present. These water molecules will condense to form rainwater. So it is the just water molecules condensed and formed. So it is purest form of water. Rainwater is a purest form of naturally occurring water. Then river water. Say when there is heavy rains, there are heavy rains, water will flow into the rivers. Along with this flowing water, considerable amounts of impurities, suspended and dissolved impurities will also be carried into the rivers and streams. So river water is another example of surface water. This contains considerable amounts of dissolved and as well as suspended impurities. Next, ocean water. This is also can be called as surface water. The ocean water is most impure form of water because it's very salty. Dissolved salt content is very high in the ocean water. So its use is very limited. It is of very limited use for us. Though it occupies 97% of total water area, total water of the available on the earth, it is practically not useful to us, except for the production of salts. And nowadays the modern technology, they are doing desalination by the process of reverse osmosis. Okay, this that's how they are producing fresh water from the sea water. In that way it can be useful. Okay, next we will move on to next surface water is pond water. Also in ponds and tanks you'll have water. This pond water is static water. It will have a constant chemical composition and it is infested with a large quantity of organic matter, and biological load will also be high in the pond water because of organic content. Biological load will also be very high, bacterial load will be very high. Then second type of water source is groundwater. This occurs in the form of springs, spring water and well water. Spring water means naturally water that comes out naturally from the earth's surface is called spring water. Okay, it occurs in the form of spring water as well as well water. Groundwater contains lots of dissolved salts. Okay, so because of this these dissolved salts present in the water impart hardness to this water. A little later in this chapter we will see what is hardness, what causes this hardness. We will discuss as part of the syllabus. For now you try to learn that the bore water or underground water will have a hardness due to dissolved salts. Understand? Next we will move on to water contains different types of impurities. We will try to know the types of impurities present in the water. These can be these can be discussed in two headings, are characterized as into two parts: suspended impurities and dissolved impurities. Okay, the suspended impurities are fine sand, clay, dust particles. These exist as suspended impurities. They are microscopic in size and they are of colloidal dimensions. You cannot remove them by simple filtering. Okay, they cause what we call as turbidity to the water. Okay, they cause what we call as turbidity to the water. They are of the colloidal dimensions. They cannot be filtered. They have to be removed by neutralizing the charge. We will come across this removal of turbidity and particles of microscopic size or colloidal dimensions. How to remove them when we discuss municipal treatment of water in the same chapter. Okay, we'll reserve that to there. We'll discuss that. I'll explain. Don't worry how to remove that. Next, there will be dissolved salts and gases in the water. Okay, dissolved salts as well as gases. Gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, all these, like many gases, are soluble in water. These cause odor and unpleasant smell to the water. These dissolved gases this dissolved gas impart unpleasant smell and also some taste to the water. They cause some taste to the water and give unpleasant smell and odor to the water. Dissolved mineral salts. I told you mineral salts will also be dissolved. Many salts are present in the water in the dissolved form. They cause hardness to the water. And apart from these, you have got microscopic matter as well. That includes bacteria and other microorganisms which can cause very harmful diseases. Nearly 90% of the diseases we get are waterborne. Okay. Types of water. Let's now come to the different types of water. Based on the action of soap, what happens when water is mixed, soap is used with water. The water can be divided into two types of water: soft water and hard water. Okay, soft water and hard water. So far, what we have seen, the types of source of water, the impurities, and all those is introduction to the water. Okay, water technology. Now, presently, the soft water and hard water. From here, we are starting the syllabus proper of this chapter. Okay, so depending upon the action of the soap, water can be divided into two types: soft water and hard water. Let us say what is soft water. The water which produces lather easily with soap is called soft water. Soap is a substance, and when it is mixed with water, okay, it should become miscible, and if it produces a lather or foam readily with water, that water sample is called as a soft water. Okay, examples of soft water are distilled water, rain water. Okay, distilled water, rain water, distilled water, rain water. Then hard water. Then hard water. This is the water which doesn't produce lather easily with soap. The hard sample water which does not produce lather easily with soap is called as a hard water. Okay, example: borewell water, sea water, ocean water. These are all examples of hard water. Okay. What have we learned so far? Let us try to see. Okay. So far we have learned the importance of water. What are all things we can do, perform with the help of water, we have seen. Okay. Then we have seen different importance of water, what all the activities that we can perform, what water is needed for, all these things we have seen. And then we have seen the importance of water. Okay, the sources of water, different sources of water: surface water, sources, surface water, and underground water. Two types. In the surface water we have seen it is rain water, river water, ponds water, water from ponds and tanks, and underground water we have got borewell and springs, natural springs. Natural spring means water comes on its own to the ground. We need not spend any energy. It comes on its own to the ground, That's called spring, water spring. Okay. Very few places in the world springs are there. Okay, borewell water or well water, that is also underground water. This underground water is characterized by presence of lots of salts. And we also see properties of water related to impurities. What types of impurities can be present in the water, we have seen. And we have also discussed the two types of water with reference to soap action. We divided water into two types with reference to how it reacts with the soap, whether it gives a ready and permanent lather or it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't give ready and permanent lather. If water gives a ready and permanent lather with soap, it is called as soft water. Okay, it's called as soft water. Whereas if it doesn't give a ready and permanent lather with soap, it is called as hard water. Okay, let us see a few questions. Hardness of water is due to, is it dissolved gases or suspended impurities or dissolved salts or all the above? We mentioned that the salts which are dissolved in the water cause hardness to the water. That is why the hardness of water is due to the dissolved salts. Next, the most impure water is impure means which cannot, unfit for human consumption, we can say. Okay, the most impure water is sea water. It has got highest impurities, salt content. Okay, so sea water we call as the most impure water. Okay, the following source of water gives lather easily with soap: well water, rain water, ocean water, bore water. The well water, bore water, both are underground waters. Both belong to the type of underground water which have lots of dissolved salts. And ocean water contains maximum quantity of dissolved salts. So none of the three salts will give lather easily with soap. Rainwater is one of the purest forms of water. It has got least amount of dissolved salts, so it gives lather easily with soap. The answer is B, rainwater. Okay, yeah. Next we'll see. Next we'll go for the action of soap with water. What is soap, and when soap mixed with water, what happens? We will also try to see the hardness causing salts. What causes hardness to the water, and we will also see the types of hardness of water. Okay. When we come to soap and detergent, soaps and detergents are most commonly used for cleansing purpose. Okay, soaps and detergents both. Can you know the difference between them? That's first question. Next, how does tap water differ from bore water? Have you ever thought of these things? How does tap water differ from the bore water? The difference between the soap and detergent. It is known that soap is used for bathing and detergent is used for washing clothes. Why so? Let's try to seek answers for these general questions. Okay, these questions we are asking to develop an interest, your interest in the topic. Focus your mind on this topic. Okay. Next is soap. Soap is sodium or potassium salts of higher fatty acids. Most commonly, fatty acids you have come across in your school level. Fatty acids. Okay, it will have a lengthy carbon chain, and at the end of the chain will have COONA, that is COOH, that's called fatty acid. Okay, soap is sodium or potassium salt of a fatty acid. Example, sodium stearate. Okay, usually when soap is mixed with water, it dissociates into anion of the soap, stearate ion, and sodium or potassium ion. Correspondingly, if it is sodium salt, sodium ion will be liberated. If it is a potassium salt, potassium ion will be liberated. So the anion of soap is stearate ion, C17H35 COO minus. This is the ion which gives the soap the cleaning action. Okay, it forms the lather. It gives the soap its cleaning action. Okay. So by the action of the soap, stearate ion is generated, which involves in the cleaning action by forming lather. Okay. Nowadays we are asked, this is COVID era, COVID times, COVID-19 times. We are asked to wash our water with soap. Okay. Once you come out from outside, you have to wash your hands with soap, at least for 20 seconds. They say. This is because the COVID virus particle which contains protein will be removed by the action of this stearate ion. Okay, as it just like it removes the dirt. Okay, it also removes the COVID particles also from our hands. That is why we are asked to wash with soap. The soap need not necessarily be any antibacterial soap. It is simply any soap will do. Whichever soap removes dirt from your hands can also remove the COVID particles as well. Okay. Next, the hard water does not produce lather easily with soap. but it produces lather easily with the detergent. Okay, whereas soap is sodium or potassium salt of higher fatty acids like stearic acid. Okay, the detergent is sodium salt of sulfonic acid of a long chain hydrocarbon. Long chain hydrocarbon. For example, you take sodium lauryl sulfate, CH3 CH2 taken 11 times OSO3 Na. So sulfonic acids, sodium salt of sulfonic acid of a long chain hydrocarbon, sodium lauryl sulfate. Okay, say you try to check, you use toothpaste, na? They print all these toothpaste will print the ingredients, what they are using to make the what is present in the toothpaste. That is called ingredient. You can see on the toothpaste this sodium lauryl sulfate. That is if you use toothpaste, foam will be generated, right? So some toothpaste use the sodium lauryl sulfate, okay, for as a foaming agent for gaining lather. Okay, cause of hardness. See, we divided hard water into two types: hard water and soft water. Okay, hard water and soft water. The hardness is because of okay, what is hardness actually? Hardness is lather preventing property of soap with water. So hardness, if soap doesn't give lather with if soap doesn't give lather with water, it doesn't mix with water properly, we say that it is hard water. Okay, the hardness of water is because of dissolved calcium and magnesium salts present in the water. If calcium and magnesium salts are dissolved in the water, they cause hardness to water. They will interfere with the mixing of soap with water. They actually cause precipitation of soap. Okay, so hardness of water is due to calcium bicarbonates, calcium chlorides and calcium sulfates. Likewise, the hardness is also due to magnesium bicarbonates, magnesium chlorides and magnesium sulfate. Okay, so the salts are bicarbonates, chlorides and sulfates of calcium and magnesium. If these salts are present dissolved in the water, they cause hardness to the water. They interfere with the mixing of soap with the water, and they cause precipitation of soap. Okay, we'll see how it happens. Okay, let us see how it happens. Okay, chemical formula of hardness causing salts. We have seen that there are several salts, 6 salts which cause hardness to the water. Okay, let us try to learn their chemical formula, because we are learning this as a part of your chemistry curriculum. Okay, chemistry involves chemical names, chemical compounds as well as their family, so also chemical reactions will also be there. Okay, the chemical formula of these hardness causing salts are calcium bicarbonate. The valency of calcium is 2, whereas bicarbonate ion is 1. So it is bicarbonate ion is HCO3 minus. So calcium bicarbonate formula is CaHCO3 taken twice. Likewise, magnesium bicarbonate is also, the valence of magnesium is also 2, whereas bicarbonate is 1 minus 1. So the magnesium bicarbonate formula is MgHCO3. See, you have to write this HCO3 ion formula in brackets, and at the end you have to write 2 as the subscript. Okay, that we pronounce it as magnesium MeHCO3 Mg, okay, HCO3 taken twice. Likewise, CaHCO3 taken twice. Okay, two bicarbonate ions are present in both of the calcium bicarbonate and magnesium bicarbonate. The formula states the same. Next, we'll go for the calcium chloride. Calcium chloride formula is CaCl2. Okay, CaCl2. Next, magnesium bicarbonate, magnesium chloride, calcium chloride and magnesium chloride. Magnesium chloride formula is MgCl2. MgCl2. Calcium sulfate formula is CaSO4. See, in the bicarbonate, the valence is -1. So, Ca has CO3 taken place, Mg has CO3 second place. Likewise, in the case of chlorides, the chloride valence is 1. So, each calcium atom combines with two chlorides. Likewise, each magnesium combines with two chlorides, chloride ions. Whereas, in the case of sulfates, calcium valence is +2, sulfate valence is -2. So, it is CaSO4. The charges are balanced. Okay, with one sulfate ion, the two charges of calcium are balanced, since sulfate ion carries -2 charge. Likewise, in the case of magnesium sulfate also, the formula is MgSO4. Okay, the -2 charge of sulfate ion will neutralize +2 charge of magnesium. The molecule as a whole is neutral. So, let us see finally once again. The formula of calcium bicarbonate is CaHCO3 taken twice. Magnesium bicarbonate is MgHCO3 taken twice. Calcium chloride is CaCl2. Magnesium chloride is MgCl2. Calcium sulfate is CaSO4. Magnesium sulfate is MgSO4. Okay. So, you have to learn all these formulae by heart. You will have to learn them. Okay. No other go. Okay. Next, the cations responsible for hardness are, see, what are the salts present? Calcium and magnesium salts dissolved in water. They are causing hardness. So, these salts, the cations present are calcium Ca2 plus ion and Mg2 plus ion. Obviously, these two, calcium and Ca2 plus ion and Mg2 plus ion, they cause hardness to the water. That is, they interfere with the mixing of soap with water. They react with soap and they will cause precipitation of soap. They will not allow the soap to mix with water or dissolve in water, but they react with water. If these salts are present in the hard water, they react with the soap and they will cause precipitation of the soap in the form of calcium stearate and magnesium stearate. Okay. The anions present in the water, anions present in the hard water are bicarbonates ions, chloride ions and sulfate ions. Whenever soap is mixed with hard water, the calcium and magnesium ions form curdy white precipitate. Curdy, if hard water is used with soap, curdy white precipitate is formed. While taking bath, you can see, when you are taking bath with borewell water, you can see the formation of small sized white particles when you are using soap. That's nothing but curdy white precipitate. These precipitates are chemically called as calcium stearate and magnesium stearate. Okay. Whereas sodium stearate is highly soluble in water, the magnesium stearate and calcium stearate are insoluble. So, two molecules of sodium stearate will react with one molecule of magnesium Mg2 plus to give rise to C17H35COO taken twice Mg and 2Na plus. This is called as C17H35COO taken twice Mg is called as magnesium stearate. And likewise, two molecules of sodium stearate, that is C17H35COONA, will react with calcium ions, Ca2 plus ions present in the water, and the soap is precipitated in the form of calcium stearate, whose formula is C17H35COO taken twice calcium. Okay, lather will be formed only after the completion of these reactions. That is, the lather will be formed only after the calcium and magnesium ions come out of the water. The ions, calcium and magnesium ions, which are present dissolved in the water, they react with the soap and come out in the form of precipitate of calcium stearate and magnesium stearate. Then the remaining water, which is free from these salts, will dissolve the soap, that is sodium stearate, and lather will be formed. Till then, lather will not be formed. Okay. This leads to wastage of soap, lot of wastage of soap. Okay. So what we have seen? We have seen what is hardness, the property of water not to give lather with soap. Not giving lather with soap is called hardness of water. The hardness of water is because of certain dissolved salts of calcium and magnesium. These salts are bicarbonates, chlorides and sulfates of calcium and magnesium. Okay. What happens? What actually happens when they are dissolved in the what happens when these salts react with the soap also, we have just seen. Okay. Now let us see the types of hardness. Hardness can be divided into two types, whether it can be removed easily by physical methods or whether you will have to use any chemical method to remove this hardness. Based on these facts, there are two types of hardness, or hardness is of two types. That is temporary hardness, which is also called as carbonate hardness. Temporary hardness or carbonate hardness. Next is the permanent hardness or non-carbonate hardness. So you have hardness of water can be divided into two types depending upon the ease of removal of this hardness. If the hardness can be removed by simple physical methods like boiling, okay, it's called as a temporary hardness. And if the hardness cannot be removed by simple boiling, it is called as a permanent hardness. Temporary hardness is also called as a carbonate hardness, whereas the permanent hardness is also called as a non-carbonate hardness. Okay. Temporary hardness. Temporary hardness is because of calcium bicarbonate and magnesium bicarbonate. This hardness can be removed easily. Temporary hardness can be removed either by boiling or adding lime water. Okay. So see, in your houses, most of your mothers, they will cook at home. For cooking, they will use cookers, right? Aluminum cookers you must have seen they are using. So if you use a cooker, you will go and check the bottom of the cooker with your fingers. Even if it is washed also, you can feel when you touch the surface of the cooker inside cooker vessel, okay, inside of the cooker vessel, inside surface of the cooker vessel, you will find something, some particles, presence of some particles sticking to the inner surface of the cooker. Okay. Previously, people used to, you can also go for some people in some houses, they use a vessel to boil the water for taking bath, taking hot water bath. They boil water in a particular vessel. Okay. They use regularly that vessel only. So if you see that vessel, dried vessel, okay, in the morning you boil water for taking bath, later it will be kept aside, it will dry, water will evaporate. If you touch the inner surface of that vessel, you can see some particles sticking to the inner surface. Okay. What are these particles? Where have they come from? You are doing only boiling the water, but where these particles have come from. That is, what happens is, when you boil water, okay, the temporary hardness causing salts like calcium bicarbonate and magnesium bicarbonate, what happens is they are dissolved in the water. Actually, they are soluble in the water, they are dissolved in the water. On boiling the water, what happens is the calcium bicarbonate and magnesium bicarbonate will decompose. They will decompose. The bicarbonates will decompose. The magnesium bicarbonate turns into insoluble magnesium hydroxide. MgOH taken twice. Okay, magnesium bicarbonate turns into insoluble magnesium hydroxide. This being insoluble will precipitate out of the water. Okay, likewise calcium bicarbonate will turn into, on boiling, will decomposing into calcium carbonate. Okay, and this calcium carbonate is also sparingly soluble in water, so it comes out of the water in the form of precipitate. Now what is happening? Before boiling, you had both calcium bicarbonate and magnesium bicarbonate dissolved in the water. Okay, dissolved in the water. When you use soap, the soap is interfering with these salts. Okay, these salts are interfering with the soap, reacting with the soap and causing the precipitation of the soap. But when you boil the water, what's happening is these salts are decomposing and turning into a form in which they are no more soluble in the water. If they are no more soluble in the water, they come out of the water in the form of precipitate. So when they are no more present in the water, the hardness caused by these salts will be removed. Okay, see, in the water boiling vessel, if you put your hand, you are able to touch some particles sticking to the surface of the inner surface of the vessel. These are nothing but the salts, calcium bicarbonate and magnesium bicarbonate salts, which are decomposed and precipitated at the bottom and sides of the vessel. Okay, that's what you are able to feel. In the cooker also, you boil the water, you can feel the same thing in the cooker also. Okay, so this hardness is, you are able to remove this hardness very easily by simple physical methods, method like okay, boiling the water. So that is why it's called as a temporary hardness. This hardness can also be removed by adding lime to the water also. Okay, these two methods can be removed. Since it is caused by bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium, this type of hardness is called as carbonate hardness. Okay, then we'll come to permanent hardness. Okay, so bicarbonates are taken care of. What are other salts remaining in the water? The calcium sulfate and calcium chloride, likewise magnesium sulfate and magnesium chloride. So the permanent hardness is because of presence of dissolved chlorides and sulfates of calcium and magnesium. This hardness cannot be removed simply by boiling the water. Okay, it can be removed only by special chemical methods, chemical reactions like ion exchange method or permeate method, sodium permeate method. These two methods, it can be removed only by these two methods. Okay, so far what have we studied? So since this hardness, permanent hardness is caused by chlorides and sulfates, it's called as non-carbonate hardness, whereas temporary hardness, which is caused by bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium, it is called as carbonate hardness. The permanent hardness is called as non-carbonate hardness. Okay, let's see the summary what have we learned. Okay, we have learned soft water and hard water, cause of hardness, temporary hardness and permanent hardness. What is soft water, by the way? Soft water is the sample water which gives ready and rich lather or permanent lather with soap. Okay, And what is hot water? Hot water is the water which does not give lather readily with soap. Okay. What is the cause for hardness? The hardness is because of the presence of certain dissolved salts. Okay, these salts will interfere with the soap. They react with the soap and will cause the precipitation of the soap. So long as these salts are present in the water, given sample of water, the water will not give lather with the soap. Okay, because this causes precipitation of the soap. Once the salts are exhausted, once all the salts are exhausted, precipitated out, then soap will mix with water, or it will mingle with water, okay, and it will give lather with soap. Okay, so these salts, calcium salts, and soap is chemically sodium stearate. The sodium stearate is highly miscible with water or soluble in water, you can say. Whereas when the soap reacts with hard water, the calcium and magnesium ions present in the hard water will form calcium stearate and magnesium stearate. Whereas sodium stearate is soluble in the water, these calcium stearate and magnesium stearates are insoluble in the water, and they come out of the water in the form of precipitates. Okay. Then hardness is of two types we have seen. They are temporary hardness and permanent hardness. Temporary hardness is the type of hardness which can be removed by simple boiling of water. Okay, simply by physical method like simple boiling of water. When you heat water, this hardness is caused by bicarbonates of calcium and bicarbonate of magnesium. On heating, the calcium bicarbonate turns into insoluble calcium carbonate and precipitate out of the water. So hardness caused by this salt is removed, since it is coming out of the water in the form of precipitate. Likewise, the magnesium bicarbonate, on boiling the water, magnesium bicarbonate decomposes and comes out, precipitates out in the form of magnesium hydroxide, which is insoluble in the water. Since these salts are no more present in the water boiled, on boiling, since these salts are removed, they go out of the water, it becomes soft, since salts are not present. Okay, so that's how this temporary hardness is removed by simple boiling of water. Since it is caused by bicarbonates of sodium and magnesium, this hardness is called as carbonate hardness. Whereas the calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, and calcium sulfate, magnesium sulfate, these salts cannot be removed by simple physical methods like boiling, but they have to be removed by chemical methods like ion exchange method and sodium permeate method. Since this permanent hardness is caused by sulfates and chlorides, it is called as non-carbonate hardness. With this, I will finish my lecture. Thank you very much.